Hello everyone, my name is Kai-Wei from National Taiwan University. Today I'm going to talk about our paper, Prompting and Adapter Tuning for Self-supervised Encoder Decoder Speech Model. This is today's outline. I'm going to talk about our motivation, and then I will introduce the taxonomy of the self-supervised speech models. And then I will introduce how we perform prompting and adapter tuning on the encoder-decoder speech model. And I will introduce our experiments and have conclusions. Nowadays, various architecture of self-supervised speech models have been proposed. And to use these models for downstream tasks, we can do parameter-efficient learning methods like prompting and adapter tuning. However, most previous works focus on prompting decoder-only model and adapter tuning on encoder-only model. So this paper we asked the question, whether prompting and adapter tuning can be applied to encoder-decoder speech models and show their efficiency. This figure is a taxonomy of the recent self-supervised speech models. The first one is an encoder-only model. For example, Hubert, word-to-vector belongs to this type. The speech is first fed into a feature extractor to get continuous features. In Hubert, the feature extractor is a convolutional networks. And these continuous features are then input into transformer encoder layers to model the context of the speech. During self-supervised learning, there will be some self-supervised objective like mass prediction loss or contrastive loss to let the model learn how to encode speech into some informative representations. The second one is a decoder-only model. This kind of model can be regarded as a speech version of GPTs. The speech is first quantized into some discrete units with a speech quantizer. The quantizers may consist of speech representation model like Hubert or word-to-vector, and on top of it, there will be a k-means model. These discrete units are then fed into decoder-only transformer model. Usually, this model will pre-train with the next token prediction task, just like a GPT model. Then you will learn how to do the speech continuation to generate some novel speech. The third one is today's main character, an encoder-decoder model, like Web2Seq, which is the model that this paper based on. And like the previous one, it will do the quantization step to quantize the speech into some discrete units. And now, these discrete units are served as pseudo-labels of this speech. An encoder-decoder model performs a task called pseudo-recognition to try to predict the pseudo-labels of these utterance. And this kind of model have shown to be more powerful in speech recognition tasks because of this pre-training strategy. And to use this kind of self-supervised models, we usually fine-tune the model on our downstream task or our own dataset. However, we already know that fine-tuning the whole model may cause some problems. For example, it may include too many trainable parameters to update and cause a huge amount of storage or computation cost. Therefore, researchers have developed some parameter-efficient learning methods like prompting and adapter tuning to study how to efficiently let your pre-trained model adapt to your downstream task. Let's first talk about prompting. Prompting inserts some prompts at the input side of the pre-trained model, and this model will generate some output condition on this prompt. In other words, the prompts will guide the pre-trained model to generate the target of the downstream task. So this figure shows how we perform prompting on an encoder-decoder speech model, which is Web2Seq in this paper. The speech is first encoded into some features with the CNN layers, and before feeding it into the transformer encoder model, some prompts, some trainable prompts will be prepended at the input, will be prepended at the beginning of the feature sequence. And these prompts will guide the model to generate the target of your downstream task. For example, if we want to perform speech recognition and the input speech is cat, the prompts will guide the model to generate the characters C, A, and T. And during the whole process, only the prompts are trainable. The pre-trained models are always fixed. And for adapter tuning, adapter means that instead of modifying the input like prompts, adapter tuning will inject some small neural networks called adapters into the pre-trained models. And these adapters will modify the pre-trained model's architecture and its forward process to make it more suitable for your downstream task. And in this paper, we use a typical adapter, which consists of a down projection layer and the up projection layer. And again, only these layers are trainable. During the whole training process, on adapting to your downstream task, the whole pre-trained model is fixed. Only the adapters will be trained. And to study if prompting and adapter tuning can achieve parameter efficiency on encoder-decoder speech model, we first conduct a cross-lingual transfer learning experiment. Since the pre-trained model, Wave2Seq, is trained on LibreSpeech, which is English-only data, if we want to let it perform cross-lingual speech recognition, it will include some domain adaptation. And in this experiment, we use multilingual LibreSpeech and perform prompting and adapter tuning on top of Wave2Seq. And this experiment compares prompting, adapter tuning, and naive fine-tuning for the cross-lingual transfer learning. So here the y-axis is the word error rate, and the lower the better. And the x-axis is the trainable, the number of trainable parameters. And each figure shows each language in the multilingual LibreSpeech. And the red line is adapter tuning, the green line is prompting, and the blue line is the fine-tuning methods. And we can see that to achieve the same performance, prompting and adapter tuning require much less trainable parameters than the fine-tuning method, which demonstrates their parameter efficiency. And another observation is that we can see that adapter can provide more capacity to the pre-trained model than prompting. We see that adapter tuning can achieve lower error rate than prompting, while the trainable parameters increase. The performance of prompting seems to be saturated. Even though you increase the trainable parameters, the performance does not get better. We further analyze the behavior of prompting and adapter tuning. So in this second experiment, we conduct a low-resource cross-lingual transfer learning. Again, we're using the multilingual LibreSpeech, but now for the low-resource setting, it only contains 10-hour training data for each language. The observation is that, although for the full dataset setting, the adapters can provide more capacity than prompting and achieve better performance. In the low-resource setting, prompting outperforms adapter tuning when the training dataset is limited. And it seems like prompting is a promising method on encoder-decoder speech model. We further compare our method to the previous work, speech prompt, which conduct prompting on a decoder-only model. It's called GSLM. And in that previous work, prompting GSLM achieved poor performance on sequence generation tasks like ASR and slot feeding. A surprising result is that prompting Wave2Seq, this kind of encoder-decoder model, can achieve competitive performance on the sequence generation task. For example, with a similar amount of parameters, the performance of ASR improves a lot. Therefore, the result shows that prompting an encoder-decoder architecture outperforms prompting a decoder-only model on sequence generation task, and this is the first work that achieved competitive results on sequence generation tasks in the prompting paradigm. The conclusion is that both a prompting and adapter tuning can outperform fine-tuning on encoder-decoder speech model when trainable parameters are limited. And prompting and adapter tuning have their own advantage. If you have enough dataset to train your model, adapter tuning might be your choice. However, if you are in a low-resource setting, prompting might be the one that you want to use. And this is the first work that achieved competitive performance on sequence generation tasks within the prompting paradigm. Thanks for your listening.